So I am here with Wanda today. For those of you who I've never had the chance to meet before who are watching this, I am Carissa Montooth. I am a love coach and energy healer and the founder of Soul Love Society and the Secret Seduction Sorority. And Wanda is one of our manifesting badasses in Soul Love Society. And she has really generously agreed to talk with us today. And just as kind of a little overview of what Wanda's been doing just over the last couple of months here, Wanda is on her third job she has manifested in just the last couple of months. And I know that our focus for Soul Love Society for a lot of the time, and for Secret Seduction as well, is to bring in love, but it is also to understand what your own manifesting formula is to be able to do that, to be able to attract all the good things into your life, whether that's love, whether that's health, whether that's money, or whether that's a satisfying career that makes you really happy and lets you show up in the world and use your gifts in a really big, full, authentic way. So Wanda has, just in the last few months, when she decided she was going to get a job, Wanda manifested, she's on her third job she's manifested in a row. And just today, she has manifested 2 more job interviews for other jobs. So it is so great that, like, just today, when we were going to sit down and talk, I saw your post in the group and you're like, okay, ladies.
Yeah.
Here's what's going on. So Wanda, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us.
You're welcome.
And I just want to ask you, why don't you just talk to us a little bit about, like, what about these jobs and, like, the timing of how things manifested. Which was the first job that you manifested, and what did you do right before that to manifest it?
I was saying I had done the breakup cure, and I was doing the manifesting. And
the heartache cure, right? The audio program? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was doing a meditating every night, and I just kind of felt like at the end of it, I did them all for a week. And at the end of it, I felt like, well, I still feel a little attached to my ex. And so that night I had prayed about, I always ask for an intent when I go to sleep at night. And so I was like, well, what is it that keeps me feeling like I'm still attached? And so that next morning I woke up and it just came to me that I should get a job, because the only thing that it was still holding me to him was that he was still paying some bills. Mm-hmm. And so I got up and I got online about 10:30. I had already got an interview, and she told me, well, it wasn't even an interview. She told me to come in to do the orientation and start work that night. So I went in, and the job was, it wasn't a bad job, but I mean, I was just so busy, and I would wake up the next morning. It was overnight too, so the next morning when I wake up, my fingers would be so swollen. It felt like my joints were swollen and everything, because it was at a General Mills where they make, like, they box toaster strudels and stuff. So it's like working in a refrigerator. And so I was still going to do it though. So about a week and a half later, I called the lady to try to set up my direct deposit. And so she said, well, so is everything going okay? Are you liking it and everything? And I was like, well, I said, it's good. I said, and I told her about my hands and everything. And she was like, oh, no. She said, I'll tell you what. She said, there's another job that I know about that's hiring at the Nissan plant. She said, you want to go out there? And I was like, well, okay. But she said it was in the city over. I was like, well, oh gosh, okay. But my it wasn't too far. It wasn't going to be too big of a commute. And so anyway, I went out there, and this job was even better. There was no rush, but I was just standing around, just watching the assembly line of cars just go by. And I was like, Lord have mercy. I went from doing too much to doing nothing. And so I had got online. I posted in the group about how things were going, and that I was going to revamp my job list. And so Carissa and another lady in the group, Nita, yeah, she you two gave me some examples on what I need to put on my job list. So I went back and I did that. And not even 2 days later, I got a call about this other job where I am now. And so she was just like, well, just come in and we'll do the safety video or whatever. And you can go on out tonight. All this time I've not missed one day of work. My job just kind of just overlapped. And so I went out to the job where I am now, which is, on my list, I added in that I wanted it to be in the city that I am, because the other job was, I just added, a few little tweaks to the job list. And I went out there, and this job is actually a good job. I work on I have a little section where I work on my own. The pay is good. This job pays more than the other two jobs. Everything is good, but it's still third shift. So I went back and I write a lot. And so I was just adding to my list because I did not have the specific times and that kind of stuff on it. So I went back and I revamped my list and I added, and also, Krista, you told me to put on there that I could ask for full-time pay for part-time hours. So I put that on there. And so today, I work from 11 to 7. So I had let me go back a little bit. Yesterday, I was in the car line to pick my kids up from school, and I got a call from Keller Williams, the real estate company. And they were like, oh, I saw your resume online, and, we have an opening. I would like to come in to do an interview for that. And so they told me to do the paperwork online, and then he'll set up a phone interview. But I was so tired, didn't get a chance to do it. I went to work last night, and I came back, and when I woke up and I was headed to my living room, and the phone rang again, and a lady called, and she was like, oh, I just saw your resume online. We're wondering if you want to come in, and we have a childcare position open. And I was like, I had just put that on my list a few days ago. And I was like, okay, well, I have my real estate license, so maybe I should go into real estate. And I said, well, but I like doing the childcare. Maybe I'll open the daycare one day. I said, I just kind of threw it out there. It wasn't even a dead set on goal, but it just happened. I was telling you a little earlier, I didn't really think of it that as a process, but because I knew we were getting ready to do our interview, I started thinking about it, and I guess it really is. And I guess what I just do, I just make up in my mind as clear as I can on what it is I want, and I write everything down, and I just go over and over. And with the jobs too, in one of my posts, Carissa, you had said to, after you do your mirror work, to say, well, I release this job with love to the next person who may need it, and as I move on to a job more perfect for me. And so I use that. I say that a lot, especially coming home from work. I was saying that a lot. I don't know if that kind of just helped instill it that it was going to happen, but once I say it so much, I start to believe that it's going to happen. And it seems like within a day or two, it happens. And so I don't really know a step-by-step process on what I do. I read also when I was reading the book that you told me about, what is it called? It's called
The God Formula by Jeffrey Martin.
Yes, he was saying in that book, he said, sometimes you after you set your intention and you put emotion, you visualize, you put emotion behind it, you should release. And see, I've never been able to do the release part, and so I thought maybe that it wouldn't work. But his suggestion is, and that's what I do, is that if you can't just let it go and not think about it, to focus on it in a positive way. And so that's what I would always do. Like I was thinking, I would be at work, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be my last day working here. Now this is it. I'm just not working here. And then not even a day or so later, well, last night, the very next day, as soon as I woke up, I hadn't even been awake for 10 minutes, and I got the call. So I don't know what the formula is. I don't know how to explain it, but
well, what's exciting, this is what's so exciting for me, Wanda, is I have to show you something. I don't know if you were in the Shimmer session that I was talking about yesterday. I was talking about how I'm going to go into Secret Seduction, and I'm going to do a webinar, and I'm going to talk about my love manifesting formula I use with my private clients, right? And the secret really is, once you know the formula to manifest one thing, you can manifest anything, right? Mm-hmm. And this is I'm going to talk about it next week, but it's my manifesting formula. You can sort of see it here. But what's so funny is everything you're talking about is on this formula.
Wow.
Everything you're talking about is on this formula. The first step of it is healing, and sometimes the healing work is something you do with energy work, and sometimes it's something you do with affirmations. You were doing that with the overnight heartache cure. And that's what it is. It's healing. It's like deep healing work that you're doing on a deep level, right? And the second step is clarity, which is like a love list. And we write a love list for your soulmate, but you were writing a job list. So every time you did a job, you would go, oh, this is great, but I also want these things.
Exactly.
So you would update your love list, your job list rather, right? The next thing is emotion. And that's when you create a mental movie and you go really deep into self-care. And you were doing that. You could see yourself doing the other thing, like going to the next.
Yes.
The next thing is, and sometimes you need this and sometimes you don't, but it's a love manifesting altar or ritual. And for you, I know you've shown us pictures of things that you have in your home that remind you of the good that's coming in for you. Like the signs you've had and the things that you have in your home, and that they're always around you all the time. And the last thing is releasing, and you release with gratitude, right? And that's that statement you were just talking about I release this job to the next person. I release this job with love to the next person, and I now accept the position that is perfect for me. You know what I mean? So you're doing all these things. And I think that part of it is because, like you said, when we were talking a little bit before, you've been studying all of these things for 13 years. And so it's like natural to you. And what happens a lot of times is we get a little piece from here and a little piece from here and a little piece from here, a little piece from there. But it's just that we don't know like the order to use them in or all the things to use together.
Exactly.
You know?
That's true.
Yeah. But you've just naturally, you've collected all these pieces and you're like, well, I'm going to use them all.
That's what I do. I said I'd rather use them all and see what works rather than I'm one that I don't ever want to say, well, what if I had to try it, or what if I'll just try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and I'll just go on to something else. But it's just been working like crazy. And one thing I wanted to add is when you were saying the mantra, I wrote down I go on to a job that's more perfect for me. And the last week I've taken out more perfect and just said a job that's perfect for me. I'm thinking maybe that would lead me more so into what I was looking for, and that's when these two jobs came about.
Well, yeah, because you got what you wrote down. Each time you got another job, it was more perfect for you. Which is like the funny thing about manifesting is like the universe is so literal, like in its response to you. You know, it's like, it's kind of like, I think of it like this, like people use God and the universe as though they're interchangeable. And to me, I understand those differently. Like God is source, the spirit, divine, and under, behind, between, within, everything, right? And the universe is the body of God.
Yes.
The universe is like the laws of God. The universe is like the structure, you know? So it's like the universe is almost like this big computer, like God's giant computer for like creating things. And because of that, it's like super literal. It doesn't do what you meant. It does what you said.
Yeah.
You know?
And I over the time that I've been kind of studying and stuff, you know, a lot of people say, well, God or the universe doesn't hear the negative words. And if you say don't, like I don't want to fall, well, the word don't is always taken out, and you get I want to fall, or I don't want to be poor. Well, don't, you know, any negative word that you use would be taken out. So if you take the negative word out and repeat it, understand that that's what's going to be coming. So you have to, you know, and I learned this as we were doing the love list. You said don't say, you know, like, I don't want him to smoke, because the don't is going to be taken out, and you're going to get I want him to smoke, because what you're focusing on is the smoking. So what you're focusing on is what you're going to get. So I learned to stop doing that from the list and stuff that we do, because I think it makes a huge difference. Difference. You may think you're saying something positive, like, I don't want to date crackheads. Okay, but you're focusing.
But you're focusing on crackheads, right?
So that's usually what comes. And I did learn that so that's why I took out more perfect because I was definitely getting what I was saying, like what you
Yeah.
just said.
Yeah,
Definitely
absolutely.
getting more perfect, but not
Because we
perfect.
don't get what we get what we focus on, right? Like you don't
Mhm.
get what you want, you get what you focus on. Like you
Mhm.
get what you said. And I love that you did that, that you just went through the thing. I think one of the things that I think that makes you such a powerful manifester is that you are like ruthless about applying stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, like you go back and you're like, I'm going to comb through this list and I'm going to
Yeah.
like revise it and I'm going to
Yeah, what did I miss? I need to fix something, and you know, and sometimes I think, well, I think I'm just really critical of myself because I'm like, oh, I'm doing too much, or maybe I should have done this, and I overthink so much, and so maybe too that's why I miss that. I miss the process because I just do it all. If you say, okay, well, or if I read or that a person did this and it works, what's the harm in trying it? I say, okay, well, let me try it and see if it works, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then I'll toss that one and see what else I can learn. But this like I was saying earlier, this group has made a huge difference in the way that I do things, in the way that I carry on with my everyday life, the way that I make my list, because I have books and books and notebooks of stuff that I write because I feel like I have to get it out. If I, you know, I kind of talk fast and I my brain is going like 100 miles a minute. And so I have to get it out. If I get it out, then I can relax. And once I get it out, I go back, like you said, and just go piece by piece. Okay, well, because I have gone through my love list and said, oh, I don't need this or I don't need that, and kept revising it. So I'm just kind of believing that whatever this is that works with the job is going to carry over into love, because I do feel like that's just manifesting things. Sorry about that. My
That's
windows.
okay.
I just hit an airplane. Manifesting things is I see as easy, but when it comes to a person, I feel like, oh, well, they have will, and oh, what if, you know, I feel like maybe there's a different process, but maybe it's not. You know,
You
I
know,
just need to edit what I'm doing here over in that. So that's what I'm going to be working on next.
yeah. Well, a lot of times what it is that there's a limiting belief. So the very first part, right, is healing, and that's clearing out the limiting beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually did some healing in your love life that had an impact in your career, because when you did overnight heartache cure and you were doing the stuff that was about fear and releasing all that stuff, you had this breakthrough, this insight that was a healing thing of like, this is how I can let go of this person
Yes.
completely. I can get a job and then I don't need him in my life anymore. Like then I'm done.
Yeah, and
You
I don't know why I didn't even see that until, but you know, I think once you start doing the healing and stuff, I started listening more to my subconscious, you know, and you know the meditations with the subliminal messages underneath removes blocks that I didn't even realize I think I even had a block to that answer. But then when I woke up with the revelation, and it was the last day of the last meditation. I did all five. I was like, whether I need them or not, I'm going to do all five. So I did all five. And the last day of the last meditation is when I woke up, and the answer was just like, the only thing that's holding me there was that I still needed him for stuff. I still needed him to pay certain bills. And it was just like, get a job. Just that simple. Why not you get a job? I can just get a job. And I went online and just got a job. Just that easy.
And that was a healing, right? That was a healing
Yes.
that ended up being a healing of your love life, but also a healing of your work life and your money and your career life, and a reinforcement for you of what a powerful manifester you were.
Yes.
Because then once you got rolling with the jobs, you were just like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, just out of the blue. Just out of the blue. And it wasn't even like I was working really hard to do it, or saying, oh, this specific one, I hope this one comes through, and this one. I was just like, what looks good, and then I fill out that one, and I fill out that one, and I just going about my day, and
Yeah.
it just kind of fell into place.
And the two things that you just described just now that's one is inspired action. You didn't force yourself. You didn't go, oh, I should probably apply for this, blah, blah, blah. You were like, oh, that looks good. I'll do that. Did it. And then release. You released it after that. You
Yeah.
did it, you released it. And I love that you're such a natural with some of these things. And I think that it's because, like you said, when you've been looking at these things and studying these things and applying these things and just trying them out for 13 years, it starts to be kind of second nature for you.
Yeah.
You know, and how those things work together. And I really believe that for you, the only missing piece, because if you can manifest here, you can manifest here, you can manifest everywhere. The rules are all the same. They're universal laws. So I think the only thing that's missing for you is that you've done healing that you need for work. And there might be a deeper belief that's in there that has to do with love. So you may actually have a belief that says, I'm allowed to manifest things, like you said. I'm not allowed to call in relationships. There might be a belief you have that says, like, manifesting love is overcoming someone's free will.
You know That's true. It's true. And while you're talking, I was thinking, with every I've had a lot of relationships, but with every relationship that I have had, they've never had money issues. They've always wanted to share money or give money or pay this and pay that. And I was always the one like, no, I got it. But money, even in relationships, has not been an issue. So I know that there's got to be something that I'm not quite connecting in that. And so, I do want to do some more work.
With you. There's something there that's just about like what it's like. If you believed that it on a subconscious level, like deep in there, there's a belief that's like, I'm not allowed to do this because of something, And I know that it's because, you're a kind person, a caring person, a conscientious person, and it must be a belief that has something to do with like, that's not right to do because it would hurt someone. You know what I mean? So we'll have to look at that sometime, but,
okay.
Yeah, we'll look at that and see what's going on there, because if you're manifesting like this with jobs, like literally, woman, you're going to have to get some, because what'll happen when that other stuff gets cleared out, it's going to be like, knock, knock, knock. You're going to be like,
I know. Yeah.
Like you're going to have to really be ready.
I know. I really do, because if I'm having to sort and taper down and move around things with a job, I think that a man that's going to be even more, I'm going to have to kind of, and maybe that's what it is. I'm like, well, I would have to kind of mold him, and I don't want to mold. Well, I guess I would be molding my list, but part of me kind of feels like I'm molding a man, I guess. And I don't want to, I'm like, I think in one of your Shema sessions, you said you're not in the business of building a man or something like that. And so I was like, well, that's true. I'm not going to be building. I'm not building with another man. I took all those years to help build and all this. And now I feel like, well, if I say, well, he needs to be this, this, and this, and this, what if he comes and he's not that? I'm like, oh, because I've had it at these jobs. I've had men try to talk, but they're, like I was saying, my other post, they were younger. Well, the job before this job, the day before I left, this is how funny it is. This guy, he had to be all of 75. And he was like just talking, and I'm like, oh, see, that's kind of funny, because I did a post about they're just way too young. And I hear this man come, and he just talking, and he was like, tomorrow I'm gonna bring you some turnip greens. And I already knew I was going to the other job. I was like, okay, you're gonna bring me some turnip greens. I'm like, see, that's funny. It's funny how the universe kind of I look at it as just kind of playing with, oh, you don't want them too young? Well, how about this? And I'm like,
exactly. The universe was like, you were just complaining that they're too young. So here he comes. He's 75.
I just got him like, no.
The universe was like, is this old enough for you?
Yeah, that was not gonna work.
And you were like, oh my.
From one extreme to the other, but no, he was really nice though.
Yeah, but it also shows, well, that's one thing too, is like acknowledging that as a sign of land, because these men who are coming into your life are shifts in your energy around love. Like there's signs showing you the universe is hearing the stuff that you're saying about love and sending you different things about love. So when you can look at those things in the same way that you could say with the jobs, I released this job with love and I receive the new position that is perfect for me. The same way that you can do that with the jobs, you can do that with love, with people that approach you, with men who approach you. And it's the release step, it's that end step, that last step. Yeah. And sometimes it's really hard to get into that last step. And the little hack that can help you get into that step of release is gratitude. It's just gratitude, because you can say, thank you for this. And I'm now looking forward to this next thing that's coming. You know what I mean? gratitude brings you right back into like, I am happy in this moment. There are so many good things in my life. Send me more of what makes me happy right now. And it takes you away from being anxious about the future or regretful about the past, so that your energy just stays in this good, happy place. And you go, I am focused on the good. So send me more of that. That makes me feel this way. It taps into vision. It taps into emotion. It helps you with releasing. It's like, so it hits so many parts of that whole 5-part kind of formula just by getting into gratitude. So it's really powerful. And I'm sure you do it naturally because you've been practicing these things all the time.
Yeah, I do it all throughout the day.
Yeah, you do it all the time. I love that so much. And I wanted to say to any women who are watching this, because there's like a fine line, I think, sometimes between being inspired and encouraged by seeing someone's story. And sometimes people go, that's so great. And they're inspired and they go, I'm going to do that for myself. And other times people go, well, that worked for her, but that'll never work for me. It only worked for her because she's been studying law of attraction for 13 years. It's only going to, I've only been studying, you know what I mean? Like people, it can be really easy to go that way. So I just want to say to anyone who's listening that just because Wanda is now at this point where she can do this without really even thinking about it, she's still using a process that anyone can learn. She's using a process anyone can learn. It's just that now she's at a point where she's like internalized it. She's like incorporated these things. She does them naturally just throughout her day and just as part of her life. And she's practiced them. And you can learn to do that too. Anyone who's watching this, you can learn to do that too, whether it's for love, whether it's for money, whether it's for fulfilling a fulfilling career, whether it's for health, whatever it's for. And look at Wanda and what she's doing and listen to what she's talking about. Because like watch this a couple times and pay attention to some of the things Wanda says over and over and over again. Because it's interesting, like Tony Robbins says, success leaves clues. And when I listen to the things that you're saying, I'm pulling out, yes, it's this formula. Yeah, exactly. This is how she handles him. This is how she generates the emotion to manifest. This is the healing work she's done. Here's how she's getting her vision and clarity. This is the ritual part of what she's doing for herself. And then here's how she's doing the release. It's like all 5 things you're hitting, and you're hitting some of them in multiple ways.
Okay.
You know?
Didn't notice that.
You really are, because when you are using affirmations or when you're using those audios, those are all healing things. Those are all healing things. When you are doing the love list with clarity, when you're saying things, when you're using the love list and you're rewriting it for your jobs and those things, that is clarity. That is like crystal clear clarity about what you want to have. The emotions, when you're visualizing how you want it to be, and the emotions that you generate from self-love. So anytime you do things for yourself that make you happy, like you were talking about how you love to decorate homes and like you're doing things that you love, that helps to generate that emotion that is manifesting fuel, that self-love. That's the 3rd part of it, is the emotion. And then the 4th part of it is ritual. And for you, you're actually doing lots of mini rituals. One of the rituals you're doing is you're literally speaking you're speaking the reality you want into existence. So when you were telling me before we got on here how you were standing in front of that machine at work and you were literally saying, this is the last night I work at this job. And 10 minutes later, the machine breaks down, right?
Yeah.
That was a ritual. You spoke that into existence through ritual. And what was funny is then you realized, oh, I didn't mean like.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do any more work tonight. I was back to standing around, looking around. I'm like, no, this is not what I meant. Yeah.
And it also shows like, again, the universe is literal. It doesn't care what you meant. It cares what you said. Yeah. Like, last night I'm going to work here, you know? So like you're doing all these things, you're hitting all these things from different points. And then with release, with that final step, you're literally saying, I'm releasing this job with love to the next person.
Yeah. And one thing that I didn't add is that, I guess it's been maybe about 4 or 5 years. I have been doing tapping, with Brad Yates and also David Childrey. There's a new lady, I can't remember her name, that I started listening to a couple of days ago, that she actually taps on if you are unemployed, and she taps on if you have a job but you want another job. I did that a couple of times. It's not anything that I've been doing on a regular, but I did find that. But I do tapping, and I realized years ago that when I would do tapping for me really does work. Usually I would tap like for, you know, a certain amount of money for a bill, and then, you know, it's just money just shows up or whatever. And I've noticed that it worked, but I get kind of lax about it. And then I go on and thinking, well, I wonder why things are not working. Then I go back, oh, well, tapping works. And I go back to tapping and it works. I just need to build more. I need to build that more into what I do on a regular basis, because tapping for me works. And I know that I didn't know until I was in a group that that's also energy work.
It absolutely is. That's healing. Tapping work is work that you do that heals your energy. Like when I connect to women to do energy work, my point of entry to connect with you is my aura connects to your aura. And then I can do kind of like a reading and see what's going on, and also ask for healing to be done at that point. When you do tapping, you're doing energy work to heal yourself, and your point of entry to your aura is your body. So you're literally tapping along those meridians where energy is flowing. You're tapping at different points, along different meridians, and at different points in your chakra that have been recognized by Eastern medicine for over 2,000 years. Like that's where we do the acupuncture work and all of that. And so that's step one of the healing. This is like we're talking about how you're doing all these steps, and for some of them you're doing multiple things in each step. You know, so you're doing multiple ways of healing, you're doing multiple ways of clarity, you're doing multiple ways of emotion. And I love that you said that works for me. That works for me, because trying these different things is how you figure out what your manifesting formula is.
Yeah. In the book that you told me about, Jeffrey Martin, he also said, which is something that I've heard before too, that there are a lot of processes, there are a lot of things you can do, but you have to find, if there's like 10, there may be 4 that really works and get you the results that you need. So in order to know what works, try all the processes, pick out which ones that work, and then stick to those. And as you grow and as you move to different levels in life, you may need to switch it up. You may need to take one process out and add another process in, or keep all 5 and then add a 6 or something like that. So and that's part of why I do just try everything, because I know, you know, some things that may work for others may not work for me, and I understand that, and that's okay. It's, you know, and for me, it's like anything in life. You know, I read a lot, and I watch people a lot, and I listen to people a lot, and it doesn't matter if what they do doesn't work for me. It does not mean that what they do is not as justified or as important as what I do. So that's why I do so many different ones, because I don't know exactly what process it was, but I know when I do all of this, something happens.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why I wanted to also come in and talk with you and say, well, if whatever it is that I can offer to help, or whatever, I'm willing to do, because this group has really helped me a lot to kind of open my eyes. Even though I've been studying for a long time, the things that I'm doing now is no different. The information that I'm getting now is no different than the information that I got 13 years ago. So just because I got into reading and studying and learning about, you know, all this other stuff, law of attraction, the laws of the universe, all of this stuff for all these many years, it does not mean that, oh, you have to start at the bottom and build your way up to here, because the same, where I am now is the same information that I had 13 years ago. It's just I'm starting to hone more in and be more consistent in what I'm doing, so that I can see results, because I do know that it does work, you know. And you know, even if you don't understand how something works, it does not mean it doesn't work. You know, you may not understand how gravity works, but if you jump up, you're going to come down. So whether you understand it or not, just do it. If you just do it and see, you may be surprised. You may say, well, it sounds too simple. A lot of things in life, the simple things, people a lot of times think that things have to be hard in order for it to work. Oh, I got to work really, really hard, because if I work really, really hard, then that means that I'm going to have some movement. No, the universe is more about relaxing and going with the flow and allowing things to happen. And over the years, as I started to allow things to happen, it's just starting to get I feel like I'm starting to get to another level, because a lot of my focus, a lot of my energy has been focused on that ex. And once I started trying to do the healing work to get rid of that, which came through working through Wendy's groups, I read books on books and books and books on how to heal from relationships and what to do and how to, for years, and nothing has worked until I got into this healing work, to healing not just the physical body, but the emotional body. Now things seem to start to fall into place. Now that I cut away what I felt was holding me back in the job world, because I was like, well, and I was like, I'm going to work. And he was like, no, just wait. I'm like, what am I waiting for?
Yeah. Like, why do you want me to wait?
Yeah, it was control. And not only physical control, but that, to me, looking back, that was emotional control, because if he knew that if I depended on him, then I would be attached to him, so he could go off and do whatever, and I'm gonna still be there, like, yeah, but I need him. And then that when I got through with that last meditation, and I woke up that morning, and it was just in my head, just get a job. The reason why this is what I heard. The reason why you're so attached is because you need him. The reason why he was able to move on so quickly is because he don't need you. What did he need? What he needed me for, he can get somewhere. The motivation and all that kind of stuff. He was getting other places, so he wasn't as attached to me. But my attachment was, I need him because, I need him to pay this bill. I got to be nice because he's got to pay this bill. I don't need him to pay my bills. And I was like, dude, it was so simple. It was so, it was just information that I knew, but until it hit me like that, until I was in a clear enough space to where I could hear.
Yeah.
The only reason why you're still attached is because of what you're doing. It wasn't what he was doing. It was that I was sitting back thinking, well, yeah, but if I do, and then I'm going to say this. The one thing, when I did talk to him a week or so after I started work, and I was like, oh yeah, he was like, oh, I'm going to send some money for this and that, whatever. I said, that's okay. I said, I got a job. He was like, oh, you got a job? You should throw your kids to the wolves. I was like, see, he's trying to get me to go back to that. So, I'm like, I know the power that I have within myself. I don't need to look to somebody else for that, because just the same way that I was able to study and be open and be willing to, like you said, invest in me, then I was able to get information that's going to help me. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. You have to find what works for you to get you to where you need to be or where you want to be in life. And so that's all I've done. I'm still a work in process. I was kind of thinking, I don't know if I need to do the interview because I'm not really at my end result yet. But I said, well, I'm just going to go ahead and do it anyway. But I kept.
But you know what the thing always is, love? I'm so glad that you didn't let that thought freeze you, because there's always someone who would just love to hear how you got where you are. And even if you're not exactly where you want to be yet, there's always somebody that just wants to know how you got where you are. But I'm just trying to get where you are right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's always somebody that's thinking like that. That's like, no, you don't have to be all the way where you want to be. You're going there. You're going to get there. There's always somebody that's like, no, I'm just trying to get where you are right now. If you could just share with me how you got where you are right now. And it's like when you turn around and put your hand out, you can help somebody get to where you are. It's okay that you're not at the top yet. Now you just have to get where you are and blessed her life in a really important way. And that's like a beautiful thing to be able to do. And just
that helps me a lot.
Good. I'm really glad. I'm so grateful that thought didn't freeze you from thinking, like, because that does so often, that does that to us, whether it's in a career, whether it's whenever, that thought stops us and we're like, who am I to share this information? Who am I? I'm not an expert in whatever. Who am I to, that kind of a thing. And those aren't really our thoughts or our voices. And it's like the other people, the other things in our life that we might have internalized. It's like with your ex saying, you're just going to throw your kids to the wolves, and trying to imply that like you have to choose between having a job or being a good mother, and trying to put that pressure on you to control you. It's like those kind of thoughts aren't really our thoughts. They're just the things that are coming in from outside and static and weird stuff like that. But two things that I want to say in relation to what you just said about when you were listening to the Overnight Heartache Cure and you got to the very last meditation on the very last day, and then you said, I was in a space where I could hear it. it's like one healing thing helps you build to the next thing, helps you build to the next thing. And sometimes you're not, you need to go through one healing journey to be able to get to the next thing. And it's like climbing a mountain where there's like a plateau at each level. And it's like, you got to get to the next plateau. And then you look around and you go, oh, now I can see what I need to see from here to go to the next thing. But you couldn't see it from the ground. But you're like, the next plateau, you're like, oh, now I can see there's 4 other places I can go from here.
Exactly. That's a great explanation for it. Exactly. Because I knew it, but I knew it, but it didn't hit me like that until after I was done. And like you said, in a space to where
you could actually hear it. Yeah. And I love that you
was
said
excited.
That. Yeah. And the other thing I want to just mention is universal laws are universal for everything. So there's not a law that says Wanda gets to have whatever she wants as long as it's just a job or a different house. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a law that says Wanda gets to have whatever she wants except X, Y, and Z. It's Wanda gets to have whatever she wants if she can create it with intention. Mm-hmm. If she can create it with clarity, if it's for her highest good and other people's highest good, if she's doing it out of creation and not competition, Wanda gets to have whatever she wants. It's not going to take anything, and she can have it in a way that doesn't take anything from anyone else. And that same, I love that one of the things that came out of this for you was, my ex is not the source of my wealth. Source is the source of my wealth.
Exactly.
Like, it shifted from this to this, and it shows you how powerful it can be. Just one little mindset shift of where the source of your wealth is, where that source of your wealth came from.
Absolutely.
So beautiful. So I'm so excited, love. I just want to check and see. Oh, there was one more question I wanted to ask you that I think that some of the ladies might want to know.
Okay.
When you get to a point where you feel like you've done everything that you can do and you're still not really seeing what you want to see yet, what are some of the practices that you fall back on to, like, keep your energy good and keep yourself kind of motivated to keep going?
Honestly, what I do is I break. If I feel like I'm just pushing and nothing happens, I take maybe a 2 or 3 day break, and I try not to focus on it, and I come back to it. And then I'll go back over. I don't always go back over my list that I wrote down. I go back over in my mind. Okay, now I want this and this, and I want this to happen this way or whatever, and see if there's some places where I can tweak it, where I can start trying to build, because emotion, the emotion behind it really helps. Try to build some excitement behind it, because, even negative emotion will bring results. So I try to build some positive emotion behind it and try to just go back, and I take a break and go back to square one, kind of. Well, not really square one, but I take at least 2 or 3 days break, because for me, if I just focus on it so much, I'm going to get discouraged. I throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm like, oh, none of it works. And I know that's how I am, because I do that a lot. And then, even when I do that later on, I go back and pick it back up and say, okay, well, now let's see. And I regroup. That's all I do. I take at least 2-3 day break and try not to just focus on it so much. And then when I do, I go back and try to say, okay, well, why is it not working? Because I believe that your intent should be for the highest good of all involved, and I don't want to have something on there where I'm trying to focus so much on it where subconsciously my mind is saying, oh, but if this happens, then this is going to happen, and this is going to affect somebody else in a negative way. And so I'll go back, and usually within a couple of days, probably not even 3 days, that feeling kind of clears, and then I'm back on to, okay, now this is gonna work, and I don't even all the time try to go process by process. Not process by process. I don't always go detail by detail on how I want it to happen. A lot of times when I notice things don't happen quickly, I notice it's because I'm saying, okay, I want it to happen this way. I want this to happen, and then this to happen, and this to happen. In some situations, that's not for our highest good, for it to go the way we think, because in every moment, there's 10 different ways for you to be able to receive what it is you're looking for. And if I'm focused on it's only got to come this way and it's not coming, I try to release that, because I know a lot of times that hinders.
That's a huge
progress.
thing. That's a huge thing. And I find that a lot of times, I totally agree with you. And I find that a lot of times when you shift instead to, this is how I'm going to feel when it happens, and trying to stay in that place of, this is how great it's going to feel when the thing happens, instead of, this is how the avenue it has to come to me through.
Yeah.
It seems like that kind of shifts you out of the whole, like, oh, but it's not coming the way that I want it to come.
I know. Because at the end of the day, does it really matter how it comes, as long as you get what it is you want? You know, I was I think it was I've read all the Esther Abraham Hicks books, and in one of the, and listened to every one that I could listen to on YouTube. In one of the seminars, Abraham says, well, you know, a lot of people say they want a big pile of money, but what you don't really want a big pile of money. And they was like, well, you know, I guess some people do just want to be able to look at it. But if you have a big pile of money sitting in a corner, you have $1 million sitting in the corner, you can't spend it. You can't, you know, it's let's say it's been stolen, but you have $1 million. You really don't want the tangible. You don't want the paper. You don't want the money. You want what the $1 million can give you. Say if you want $1 million to purchase a car, well, a car could be given to you. The exact same car, it could be given to you. Somebody could just say, oh, well, I bought a new one, and, you know, I have this one sitting, you know, do you need a second car? Or the same with the house. Somebody could say, well, you know, my parents are retired, they're moving or whatever, and we have a house for sale, and it's within your budget. So it's not necessarily it has to come this way, because I do understand that a lot of times can stop your manifestations. So that's what I do. I go back and make sure that that's not something I'm doing, because a lot of times I'm so detail oriented, because I know exactly how I want it to happen, but I realize that there are hundreds of ways that we can't even fathom on how something can come about, how a manifestation can happen. That we may can think of 5 different ways, but there's probably 15 to 20 different ways, and all of them can happen right now. You know, a lot of people say, well, you know, here today, gone today, or you could, you know, things can change tomorrow, and people always look at that in the negative light.
They always say that in a negative way. But that actually is a beautiful thing. It means anything can happen. That means anything good can happen.
Yes.
And like there are 100 good ways that something can come, that something good can come to you.
Tomorrow could be totally different from today. It's not always that tomorrow's going to be something, could be something negative. Tomorrow can be something positive.
It can be something more positive than you've ever experienced in your life up to this point. And we are always so much closer to our good than we think that we are. I was just talking to a client of mine who's manifested her soulmate. I did a video with her yesterday that I'm going to share in the group pretty soon. But we were talking about how she, and I've talked about her before, because she was the one who almost hit him with her car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you probably heard me tell that story before, right? So I'm sharing her story. We talked in a video yesterday. I'm going to share her story in the group in a little bit. But one of the things she shared with me was that he took a walk, because he just lived a little ways up the street, a little ways up the way. He walked every morning. He took a morning walk at 6 a.m. past her house.
Yeah.
While she was asleep in bed, her soulmate was walking past her house every day.
Yeah. And it's just that close.
We're always so much closer to our good than we think that we are. It's so close. Things can change for the better in like that fast. So quickly things can change for the better, and so much better than you could have imagined.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I am so glad to get to talk to you, love. And if anybody, if there's anything you can think of that, like any particular books that you might want to share with people that are, you know, that you're reading right now, you could post them in the group if you feel like sharing, or you could just talk about them. I know one of the ones that came up a lot recently that we've been talking about was the book that I was sharing with you called The God Formula, which is by Jeffrey Martin. It's on Kindle. It's less than $5. I think it might even be like 99 cents or something like that now.
It was free. I have an Android, and it was free. And also the book, Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It, is also on there.
Yes, and that is so key. There's like, I always share that book with my private clients. Love yourself like your life depended on it, because switching the self-love is what tells the universe, okay, I'm going to step into my power as a manifester now. I'm going to step into my power as a creator now. I'm committed to doing that now. And so I love that book for that. So thank you for bringing that up. So love yourself like your life depends on it. And the other one that helps with self-love and knowing what's possible is You Can Heal Your Life. And the God Formula is by Jeffrey Martin. Just a quick intro for people who are listening, what it's about. It's a group of Harvard-trained researchers who literally studied different ways of manifesting and came up with a formula. And their formula it's a teensy bit. I've added some things to their formula that are specific for love to make it work faster for the women that I work with, but it's very similar to the formula that I was describing a little bit earlier. But their formula is V plus E plus R equals M, where V is vision, plus E emotion, plus R release equals M manifestation. So if you want to check that out, they have examples in there of how to visualize, how to trigger those emotions, what things that you can do for release, and then what happens when you have your manifestation. Another thing I just want to touch on really quickly is something that you said, because I'm not sure if you said it when we were actually recording or if it was when we chatted before, so I want to make sure it gets into the recording, is you were talking about how a lot of times we're reluctant to, like with your job list, a lot of women may have been reluctant to write a new job list or make a change to their job list because they might have thought, oh no, that means I'm going to have to get fired. It has to be hard, right? To like switch to the other thing. So I'm so glad that you brought that up because it doesn't have to be hard, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing that neither one of the jobs have been I didn't get fired. No, it wasn't a oh my God, I'm just gonna die if I go back or anything like that. It's just one job just overlapped over the other one, just easily, just overlapped.
You didn't even have to miss a day of work.
No, I've not missed not one day. Yeah. 3 different jobs and I've not missed one day.
I love that so much. Well, Wanda, my dear, thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you so much for having
being here. Thank you for being part of Soul Love Society and for your generosity and sharing all the benefits of not only your experiences and what you've learned as you've just been doing this recently, but the things that you've learned over this really rich time of really digging into manifesting and law of attraction and universal laws and how those things work. Thank you for sharing the benefit of that wisdom with your sisters here in Soul Love Society.
No problem at all.
So powerful. So thank you.
Thank you.